you know, there's a very famous swim set that coaches still use to this day, religiously. I don't know whether it started with you, but I know that you're one of those people that definitely were at the forefront of it. And it's 3100s, right? 3100s on 130. Everybody still does that to this day. And I can remember back in the day, they used to try and make me do it. And then they'd also try and compare me to Kieren Perkins and how he would do it at the time. I'm like, did that start with you? Did that set start with you guys? And do you remember that set?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So where that evolved from, and it did start with the group of us. So I'm not sure if I could say that Mr. Crew like invented it, but there was this physiologist that used to work in Queensland, Bob Caffeine, who you'll remember, I'm sure, because he drove it in the Australian team, and he had these theories about measuring and monitoring heart rate performance in athletes, and wherever he got the idea from, I don't know, but he came up with this program. It was actually Glenn Houseman and I who were probably the first two distance swimmers that performed at international level doing this. And yeah, look, it was a thing that I think Bob was trying to find a way to put athletes into a race pace stress environment to see how they reacted and responded to it. And where it really upped a level dramatically was because and this I do know, Mr. Crew had this theory. He decided somewhere along the way that, even though we had always viewed 1500 metres as a distance event, the reality is that if you wanted to swim sub 15 minutes or faster, you needed to be able to swim fast. You couldn't just, churn out aerobic pace all day and succeed. You needed to be able to change speed. You needed to be able to have better speed in sprint. And so he used to drive into me, and I do know he developed this for us. These programs around trying to do fast. So we used to do sprint program, dive 50s on a minute 30 or whatever. But the heart rate set and the 3100s, when it first started being utilised by guys like Glenn and I, we were trying to get around the one. If you could do those repeating about 102, 101, then that initially was fast. And Mr. Crew sort of very quickly went, well, no, that's not fast. If we're going to break 15 minutes, you've got to be able to average 59.9. So I assume in the middle of a 1500 metre race, you're going to be doing 60 point or 61-ish as a pace you can handle while churning through your lactate. So first and last hundreds, you need to be doing much quicker than that, So why don't we just practice doing, 57s, 58s all the way as an expectation, through those 3100s. And it was that picking it up at that pace that he really brought forward. And yeah, you're right, it did become a real cornerstone. I think the thing that was different, or maybe might be different today, you'll know better than me, mate, we did the same program pretty much week in, week out. Right, like Monday morning was a heart rate set, but it was usually 400, 300, 200, 100 3 times. Monday afternoon was sort of distance. Tuesday morning sprint set. Tuesday afternoon recovery. Wednesday morning the 3100s. Wednesday afternoon distance. Thursday morning sprint. Thursday afternoon recovery, and then Friday again. So. And we did that week in, week out. Like the drills or the skills or the bits around it might have changed and adapted a little bit, but the main sets that always averaged in, 3K for the heart rate sets, 1500 metres for the sprint sets, and usually about 4.5 to 5K for the distance sets. Week in, week out were basically the same. And it used to drive some people mad. They couldn't cope with the repetition of it. But again, for me, it became this thing. Like I actually used to often look forward to the Wednesday morning 3100s because let's see how quick I can go this week. But my fast or slower,
Wow.
Yeah, a bit nuts.
Mate, they still do it. Yeah, it's crazy. People probably hate you for the way that you set the bar because they're still doing it to this day. It's insane.